Well, let's welcome in the professor, your partner over on the J Street Vibes podcast. And of course, the culture writer over at The Athletic, our guy, Jason Jones. We'll ask you this question. Why is this game happening tonight? The Celtics have had time off. The Celtics don't play tomorrow. I don't think they play till Friday either. They're just like cramming all of these games together at the end of the season when you really don't have to.
I have no idea. I've never been a big fan of the road team sitting at home for 2-3 in the road city, and then the other team gets back. But even still, the fact that it's a back-to-back for the Kings is just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it might as well just be part of the road trip.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they got home, got to sit around all day. You got home late, late last night. Not super late. I mean, you were only in Utah, but still, you get home late. You probably sleep in. You don't have a shoot around, but you wake up and got to get ready to go to work. Right. I mean, this is basically a road game.
Yeah. And I just thought about this when you said that. The crazy thing about it is the Celtics have probably been here since Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They played on Saturday night, probably spent the night, stayed in Utah or whatever the case may be. Got here on Sunday. We're hanging out on Monday, watching the game, and now they're here on Tuesday. They're at home. As long as they've been here, they're at home.
They've maximized the room service. They've gone through the menu. If
in every movie at the theater in Doco.
Yeah, because they've sampled the restaurants, went to Macy's and got some gifts for the wifey, let her know. I'm thinking about you, I've been in Sacramento 2-3 days,
they might have gone to Napa at this point.
If the weather out this way was better, yeah, but even still, got time. More than likely, they probably, I don't know for sure. They could have stayed in Utah the extra night, practiced in Utah, came to, it's a quick flight, about an hour from Salt Lake City, to Sacramento. They could have easily had a wine trip. They got time. No, they could have headed to Napa, went back, still watched the game, Yeah,
they absolutely left because I ain't saying Sacramento's New York City, but you're not spending an extra day in Salt Lake City. So
unless you're the Memphis Grizzlies, that might be a city they're approved to stay.
Memphis stays extra days in Utah, Oklahoma City, a couple of those spots. That's
about it. They can find trouble everywhere else probably. So let's get them out of Milwaukee, Detroit, get them out of everywhere. Just get them back home.
Jesse says the Celtics are 7-7 on more than 2 days rest this season.
Yeah, and they're 8-3 on the second night of a back-to-back, so it makes no sense.
Wow. That the Kings have a good record on the second night of a back-to-back, don't they? Well, am I making that up?
I don't know.
I might be making that up. I'm probably making that up.
What they always the Sega Bega. What's they shorten it down, they put the initials down. Sega Bega or whatever it says.
I don't know. I'm old. I just say second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I'm fine taking the extra couple seconds to say the second night of a back-to-back. I was going to ask you this. I forgot. So I'll ask Jason. You can chime in, Casey.
Okay.
Who do you think gets these two playing spots?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out. Like, who can you confidently say these two teams are they're going to be the 7th and 8th seed?
Because we don't know who those. There's about there's realistically 6 teams that could be in the last 4. Whoever 6 through 11 changes almost every day.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You probably have to decide who's going to be 6 before you can decide who's going to be 7 and 8.
Because a week ago, the Lakers were headed to 6. Now they're 11th. A couple of days ago, Dallas was 6. And now, they got a couple of injuries. The Warriors are 6 until they go on the road. And they end up being 8 after a couple of road games. I can't figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Because it really depends on, I could look at it now. who's 6 right now?
Golden State.
The Warriors.
Okay, so that means Dallas is 7th, and Minnesota's 8th.
Yep.
Then it's like OKC,
yep,
Utah, and the Lakers at 11.
Yep.
And then
the Warriors and Mavericks play tomorrow.
Okay, so that'll change probably again. Well, where's the game at? Is the game in Dallas? Oh God. The Warriors may lose by 30 to like the backups. Who knows? I mean, they're so weird this year on the road. So
Kyrie's gonna go for like 80.
Yeah,
that's like Kyrie's just gonna have to go off.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have a 55-point game just because it's a game in Dallas. But if the Warriors are 6 right now, based on from 7 to 11, the 2 best teams are probably Dallas and the Lakers. But I don't know who's going to be there in the end. I mean, I know I talk to people around the league and everything like that. They're like, if LeBron gets back and the Lakers are 10, they can win 2 games. Like if they got to play OKC, they can win in OKC and then beat whoever. They could do that. But then again, in a week, the Lakers might be 6. We don't know. I can't call this thing at all. I don't even pretend like I know what's going to happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe Cat gets back this week and that helps Minnesota, or Minnesota goes in a tailspin.
Yeah. That's the other thing that people don't talk about. All these guys coming back, that might not make things better.
Right.
You got guys without them for so long.
My buddies in Oakland, all my Warrior homies are banking on GP2 and Wiggins coming back to save them. But what if that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be this is probably the most parity I've seen in the West ever. Because even the top 2-3 teams, I don't think anyone's going, oh my God, they're a lock to win 2 series. Now, if Denver gets a bad matchup in the first round, second round, imagine you get a healthy Phoenix round 2.
Yeah. I mean,
the Clippers who actually are engaged round 2. I mean, there's really no kind of predicting what's going to happen with this right now. So it makes it a lot of fun. I was very anti-play-in. I didn't like the idea. I think if you play 82 games, you know who the best teams are, but it sure does make it interesting.
I think this is the best playing situation we've had. Although the first year with the Warriors and the Lakers in that was some good stuff right there. Like
you had the Celtics play-in. Remember Tatum goes for like 50 in a play-in game. So you had some. I mean, for the NBA, they're like, we got 3 of our biggest franchises in the play-in, and then that same year, Ja breaks out. And they win in San Francisco to get to knock out the Warriors. So I mean, I think it's going to be, like I said, ask me tomorrow when I know what the standings look like, and ask me again 2 days from now. I don't know what this thing is going to shape up as. I don't even pretend. I don't think anybody. I mean, like I said, I talk to people who I still know in the league, and some of them say, well, you know what? If the Lakers are healthy, then they say, well, you know what? If Cat is right, if the Warriors get right, there's so many ifs tied to every single team. I think the one thing that everyone agrees in is that Dallas isn't going to play any defense. That's the consensus. That Dallas is not going to try to stop anybody. But I mean, if you thought Jalen Brunson and Luka were tough to deal with, I mean, engaged, focused Kyrie and Luka isn't fun either. But who knows?
Yeah. What do you think? We talked a little bit about this earlier. What do you think about the Clippers? They got a lot of flack for the way they started when Westbrook came, going 0-5. But we kind of mentioned like they lost all 5 games by combined like 7 points. Like they were there. Now all of a sudden, I think they've won 5 in a row, or is it 4 in a row?
They won 4 in a row. I think they lost 1 and then they won.
Got you.
They got back on track.
So I don't know. Like I think even with Phoenix and Kevin Durant and all this other stuff, I still think the Clippers, outside of the Kings, of course, are going to the NBA Finals. I think they're representing the Western Conference. What you think about the Clippers?
My concern with them is the concern that everyone's had about the Clippers. How will Kawhi Leonard's body hold up? Just, he hasn't played for a few months straight of basketball in a long time. And I know he had the ACL before, but he's had a history of problems with his knees. And that I remember even when he went into free agency after he left Toronto, I had a scout tell me, if you sign him, just realize he's not going to play more than 60 games in a regular season. That he's going to cap it off at 60. And so can you adjust? They just had so much in and out. I mean, like I said, some nights I think they could be the best team in the West. Some nights I don't know what they are. But that's kind of indicative of the conference. Everyone has these weird up and down. They got a coach who's won a championship. They got their best player has been a Finals MVP twice, but he's also had injury problems. Paul George is Hall of Fame talent, but he's also had some legendary just fall apart situations.
Meltdowns.
Yeah, he has. He is. I mean, I know maybe he called himself Playoff P, but
he did.
He called him.
Literally, no one ever called him that before.
The fact that he had to give himself that name tells you about his playoff. I mean, even going back to Indiana, I never forget what Game 7 with Miami. What I saw was a scared team except Lance Stevenson. Lance was the only guy who came ready to go. The other guys were like, "Oh my God, we shook." So I mean, if PG's ready to go, you say him and Kawhi together, yeah, but you really don't know what you're going to get. I mean, they've got depth, they've got talent, they got a great coach, but they're also the Clippers. So if things were to go haywire for them, I don't think anyone would be shocked.
There's just so many ifs. Like you just said this a second ago, Jay. There's just so many ifs with like every team involved. The thing about Kawhi is you talk about those 60 games. He's not going to play more than 60 regular season games. And I think part of that is to get to this moment, is to get to the playoffs so he can play all of these games in a row. And if memory serves me correctly, he was pretty banged up on the run to the finals.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't healthy when, he hit the shot against Philadelphia and they went on to beat Golden State. Like he was kind of hanging on and pushing through a lot of things. So I think he's willing to push through a lot in the postseason. I understand that maybe he's not as willing to do that, or maybe doesn't feel it as necessary to do in the regular season.
Yeah, I get that, but you also made your path a lot tougher.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to bank on him being healthy, that's one thing. But do we really know? I mean, like I said, this is the biggest. We all should get a fifth for every team from 1 through 11. I mean, this is a drunk Western Conference. I mean, just take a shot for every time 6 through 11 changes. I mean, it'd be all bad if you were doing that. It's just, like I said, you really can't call it because I mean, there's so many ifs. Like, if Kevin Durant's right, if the Nuggets of most of the year show up, or do the Nuggets from the last couple of weeks show up, if the Kings don't go cold on offense decide all of a sudden have a bad week and a half on offense for the first time all year, just keep on going. If Memphis can stay out the club, I don't know. If Dylan Brooks can stop, being a menace to society. I mean, there's just so many ifs. I mean, if they get Steven Adams back, you just don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's the biggest.
And
Steven Adams.
Yeah, and what he's able to do when he comes back.
Assuming, of course, he's okay, because what was that? What was that?
It was
he had stem cell replacement.
Yeah, he had like an injection.
Injection. That's what it was.
Yeah,
he's like the one. He's like the one adult one of the only adults on that team.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you not just off the court, on the court, you need a guy like who can settle guys down. He's been there. He's been to the finals. He's had deep playoff runs. He's. I mean, it's no coincidence that they fell off when he was gone.
Yeah.
He's one of the last. He's a true vet. Even though it feels like he's really not that old. He's just been around. It seems like since like '98, but he really hasn't.
Yeah, I look at this Western Conference, and obviously we've talked about a number of different times, but I mean it can go in so many different directions, and we bring this back to the Kings, and I feel like the Kings have the simplest formula to a win. If they can score, they're probably going to win. Mm-hmm. Like everybody else, well, they could score, but maybe they're not defending and they give it up, or they're defending really well, but they can't throw it in the ocean and they score 104 or whatever. The Kings, if they can score, they're probably going to win. I know, Jason, we go back and forth about defense all the time. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but what we've seen from this team is they scored 120 last night, and they scored 4 points over a 12-minute span in that game.
But they
4
also
points.
gave up 128 to some guys I've never heard of.
Yeah, but if they don't,
that's the big gap with them. That's the big gap, is that they can score on anybody, but they can give it up to anybody.
But the whole point is, if they score 14 points in a 12-minute span, which is terrible, they still win the game. Like that is what they can do scoring. Like they put up 120 and from 7 minutes in the first quarter to 9 minutes to go in the second quarter, they scored 4 points.
Yeah. And my thing with the Kings is just that I can't recall a team that's been this bad defensively making a deep run. I mean, there have been teams that have struggled, but a team that consistently lets teams shoot 50 from the field, 40 from three. I've never seen a team with numbers like that, 29th, 30th in defensive categories, make a deep run. I mean, and that's why I say everyone has their issue in the West. Everyone has an issue. The Kings have the best offense, but probably have the worst defense of the bunch. I mean, they can score on anybody, but when you can also give it up to anybody, in a 7-game, we're talking, it all depends on the matchup they get. It may not bother you when say it gets a Dallas, but do you want to risk, say they have a bad week this week and they lose the next 2, and then Memphis wins a couple, then they end up at 3 and the Warriors stay 6. Do you really want to risk that against, do you really, even though the Warriors can't win on the road, in terms of road home, Sacramento would be almost ideal situation for them. Do you really want to give Steph 5-6 cracks at this?
No,
I don't
want to give Steph. I don't want to give Steph any cracks at anything.
I don't want to play
the Warriors. I don't mind the Warriors. Just Steph can stay home.
I know Kenny. He's really looking forward to seeing Draymond in town. No, my buddy Draymond. That's my homie.
Probably be at your house to go over to the Jason Jones compound.
Playing dominoes. That's what we're gonna be doing. Playing dominoes.
Yeah. So I'll come show up and hang out with Dre. I'll catch up with Draymond. Who else do I know? I know a couple of guys over there, but I'll hang out with Draymond. I'll be, and then now I'll be the Draymond Green ambassador for the series.
And then when Memphis comes to town, he's going to hang out with Dylan Brooks.
I didn't say all that now. Let's be easy now. I didn't say all that. Let's not get carried away. I can't hang with them guys. They too young and too much trouble. They'll find every nice spot in Sacramento and have me out in the streets. I don't need them problems. I'm old.
We don't need Jason Jones in these streets. I saw the Athletic article posted during the show, but I guess Josh spoke today. And he was like, I'm not completely better, or I'm not completely well, or something along those lines. And I don't know how I'd feel about that if I was a teammate. I don't know how I'd feel about that if I'm Adam Silver. I don't know how I'd feel about that if I'm Taylor Jenkins. Like, if you was really out there trying to get help, and this was really all about getting help, and you're not well, maybe you shouldn't be back.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I don't. That's just my thought. I don't know what he's supposed to say. I don't know how real this whole Florida thing was, or this whole thing, Jay. I don't know how real any of it was. But if the brother doesn't believe that he's well, then maybe this shouldn't be his focus.
Yeah, and I think some of it may be. I don't know Ja. I've never really talked to Ja, so I don't know if he's a guy who gets nervous or anything, and maybe he doesn't get his point across clearly. There's some guys who are much better once the camera goes off. He might be one of those guys. I don't know. But it's kind of a dual thing. Part of me says if he's not well, he might need to really be around the team. So people who can kind of bring him in, support him. But on the other hand, if him not being well means I'm going to show up on social media again with a weapon, or I'm going to be fighting with, you got to deal with that. It's really a delicate thing, because you can't make someone get help. I guess the league, in a way, the NBA kind of can. They can say you can't play until you do. And it's because even when I watched that Jalen Rose interview, I just kind of cringed a few times.
So bad.
I was like, they got to stop putting that type of stuff on. That did not help him at all.
No.
And so I just wonder if it makes you wonder if he truly understands kind of what's at stake here. People talk about the money and everything, but this is talking about your well-being here. You know, what are you thinking? Like the fact that you even thought that was a way to quote be free. I want to be free, so I posted. I posed with a gun. I'm like, what do you mean you want to be free?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense at all, and there was like no like follow up to that, or if there was, they didn't air it.
Well, that's because the wrong person was doing the interview.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, and I like Jalen, but I'm like, yeah,
that's not for him. That's Jalen's fine, but that's not for him.
Yeah, for him to be like, well, I want to be free. Like, what is that? I'd ask him, what does that mean? Free from what? Is it the pressure? Is it what is that? What do you mean you want to be free? And I get guys want to go to the strip club and let loose or whatever. He could have done that, and we never would have known he was there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an age thing. That whole pull out my phone. I don't know, but yeah, to me, they just. I mean, even the organization they have a maturity problem with that team. Some of your best players are very. We never hear a peep from Desmond Bain.
No. He's
just lifting weights somewhere.
Yeah, that's all he does.
Yeah, but Dylan Brooks can't stop talking about people. Yeah. My man's trying to exchange really jerseys with somebody who don't even want it. So
that was cold.
Kyrie like, I'm cool. No, I said good game. I don't want a Dylan Brooks jersey now.
Like if I'm Kyrie, where am I going to display this? Next to LeBron, next to Steph, next to Luka. Where am I going to put a Dylan Brooks jersey in my house?
Next to D Wade, Kobe. All the guys he's played with. Here's it's like Dylan. In my mind, I envision Dylan saying, "I'm going to give him my jersey." Kyrie not once said, "I would like let's do a jersey swap." Dylan was like, "Oh yeah, here." He's like, "No, I'm cool."
Kyrie was like, "Yeah, I got you, kid. Here's my jersey."
I would have loved to have seen Draymond watch that video.
Oh, I need that.
I would have loved to with Draymond when he saw that video. I'm sure Draymond and Clay got a kick out of that.
I'm going to Draymond Green's Twitter account right now just to see if there's something there.
Now, Draymond might say that for the podcast.
He might say that podcast. He ain't gonna say
that last pod he did about Dylan. He just undressed poor Dylan Brooks on the pod.
He ain't gonna save it for the court. He saved podcasts and his Twitter and all that stuff because he giving up 130 every time you see Dylan. Right there. He giving up 130.
Hey, he can start for the Kings, then he giving up 130.
He could. It's his
defense. A Hall of Famer, man. Respect that, man. It's a Hall of Famer right there.
Yeah, I mean, he got a good PR situation.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Why is Draymond a Hall of Famer and Michael Cooper isn't?
I didn't say Michael Cooper wasn't.
No, I'm asking you why is that the case? Because you laugh when I said he got a good PR situation. I think that's the difference between the two.
I think part of it.
Michael Cooper got 5 of them things.
Yeah,
and he was a great coach.
Yeah, and I'm with you on Coop. I'm with you on Coop.
He's a good coach.
Okay. Did he win one though?
Yeah,
he won one. Yeah,
okay,
all right.
He won
a chip. He got the hardwood.
Okay.
I think part of the difference is that from that era, you didn't have people back then giving you these advanced stats numbers and and kind of that hype train with it. Like when he's on the court, I don't know who would go back and look at that for Coop, but I mean, if you watch the games. I was talking. Me and my friends were chatting about this the other day. Coop is like the original 3-and-D guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was shooting 3. I mean, he wasn't shooting 3 like they do now, but I remember it was like back then they didn't shoot a lot of 3s. But defensively, what he had to deal with and to be defensive player of the year, remember it wasn't like he was a starter. As a defender, they bring you off the bench to cool somebody off. That's a whole other thing.
Usually already on fire.
Yeah, and for him to get defensive player of the year with that, yeah, I mean, I just think the Hall of Fame doesn't really give. And I think the other difference would be this too. I don't know if Coop was an all-star, and even though I don't put a lot of weight in the awards like that because I mean, if Draymond was as good as he is defensively, but he played on a 500 team, of course he wouldn't get the same love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't think that's a shot at Draymond, but when you win, things are amplified, and I hope they fix that with Coop, because I mean,
I didn't come up with that comparison. Like, I didn't invent that. I heard somebody else say it, and I was like, because they got damn near the same resume. Now,
the only difference would be the All-Star game appearance.
Everyone has the All-Star appearances and the gold medals. I don't think Coop.
Well, I think the gold medal.
Coop wasn't in the era where he could have got a gold medal.
There's that.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he wasn't gonna, you know, he wasn't gonna be in no dream. You know, that wasn't a thing for him. So I think you have to judge Coop by his era. And I just in the Basketball Hall of Fame is one of the weirdest things ever. Like, Tracy McGrady got in no problem. They made Webb wait forever.
Yeah.
And I you know, and I just don't understand the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, and a lot of people who don't understand it. You say that guy won't get, you know, you figure that guy, oh, he got in first ballot.
Yeah.
They made this guy wait. Like, a guy like Vince Carter is going to be interesting with them. Some folks feel like he's a no-brainer. I thought Chris Webber was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's King's legend, Vince Carter.
King's legend.
Yep, you know, King, legendary mentor, as De'Aaron once said. They want me to yell at Vince Carter. Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, be a leader. He's like, that's Vince Carter. He's like, they wanted me like to get on Vince Carter. I'm not going to get on Vince Carter.
Jason Jones, The Athletic,
the Professor,
J Street Vibes. Enjoy it while you can. Jay, we appreciate you as always.
Let's go Kings tonight. Go Kings. Beat Boston.
There we go.
Buck Boston. You know that's how I feel.
Well, you know, trying to get us to do the Lord's work again. We did it last night, and
actually last night your backslid. The Lord was not pleased. The Lord was not pleased with the Kings last night. I rebuked that effort. I rebuked that first quarter. We were not happy. Us saved, God-fearing Laker fans were not happy with the Kings last night.
Oh man. Well, hopefully you're happy with them tonight.
Yeah, go ahead, beat Boston. That's always a great day when the Celtics lose.
Let's go.
Appreciate you, Jay.
All right, catch you next time.